from the most dangerous nuclear power plant in the world. Right, so now we're trying to pay a visit to the nuclear power plant of Metsamor. The 3 reactors of the Metsamor nuclear plant.
Даже когда фотку делаешь, не пускают.
Guys, let me give you my most sincere greetings from Yerevan in Armenia, a place that is known locally as the Venice of the Caucasus. Today's video is going to be a bit special because we're just about to go nuclear. When it comes to nuclear plants and its potential dangers, people usually think of what? Chernobyl, right? Just because of everything that happened in 1986. However, Chernobyl's plant is not active anymore, and today I want to take you instead to a place where you can find an active nuclear plant indeed, but not just any nuclear plant. Today I'm going to take you to a place where you can find the most dangerous nuclear plant in the world. And if you're curious about where the most dangerous nuclear plant in the world is, well, it's still in the former Soviet Union, just as Chernobyl is, and it's in Armenia, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here. It's in the town of Metsamor, 30 kilometers from the capital, from the city of Yerevan, and there are quite a few different reasons as to why the nuclear plant of Metsamor is considered to be the most dangerous nuclear plant in the world, and I'm gonna explain that to you throughout this video, but just so that you know, the main reason is that it was built in one of the most seismically active areas in the world. So let's find ourselves a ladder taxi, or a normal taxi, or a big taxi, also known as bus, and let's go to Metsamor. Well, I've literally just ordered a taxi on the Armenian version of Uber. It's gonna be here soon, and the price is something like 8 or 9 euros for a 50-minute ride covering the 30 kilometers from Yerevan to the nuclear plant of Metsamor. That's insanely cheap, wow! Metsamor, где атомная электростанция. Поедем? Итальянец.
Итальянец.
Русскоговорящий. Итальянец. Но я знаю армянский. Баревздес. Баревздес. Шоракалютиун, да? Это армянский, да?
Да.
Я хочу атомную электростанцию посмотреть. Я читал по интернету, что это как самая опасная в мире, говорят. I told you Metsamor is situated in an active seismic belt, and actually in 1988, following a massive earthquake that destroyed thousands of lives here in Armenia, the Soviet Union back then actually decided to close the nuclear plant of Metsamor back then permanently. However, following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Armenia found itself in a really precarious economical situation, and the Armenian government was forced to reopen the nuclear plant in Metsamor. The Metsamor nuclear power plant was built according to the same engineering plans as the one in Chernobyl, with the only difference that it lies close to an area prone to earthquakes with magnitudes up to 8. However, the plant was only constructed to resist earthquakes with a magnitude of up to 7. Additionally, it was put in operation from the start without containing structures. It is actually one of 5 of the last first-generation water-moderated Soviet-era reactors without a containing structure in case of radiation leaks, which is a requirement for all modern nuclear plants. Armenia is a country at war. The borders with 2 of its neighbors, Turkey and Azerbaijan, are closed permanently. With frequent periods of energy scarcity and with no chance of receiving resources from neighboring countries, the Armenian government has simply got no chance. The nuclear power plant of Metsamor is here to stay. Life in the town closest to the most dangerous nuclear plant in the world goes on as normal, with little thought about the risk of potential nuclear disaster. And we've made it to Metsamor. Now, the nuclear plant is obviously a couple of kilometers off town. It's not like they've got nuclear reactors in the very center of Metsamor. But anyway, Metsamor used to be the typical Soviet mono-industry town, meaning one of those towns that were built just to house workers of a single industry that town was famous for. For example, we've got Vorkuta and Magnitogorsk in Russia, just to cite a couple where we have been to. And obviously, when the nuclear plant was built in 1970, people and workers were brought from all over the Soviet Union to this place, to Metsamor, just so that they could work at the site of the nuclear plant. Well, I've been to pretty desolate places before, and I can tell you that this Metsamor place, is pretty desolate too. You guys can see over there, peeking out in the distance, the 3 reactors of the Metsamor nuclear plant. I don't think I've ever been this close to a nuclear plant before, and actually what I want to do in a few minutes is actually try and get even closer. And it's that very nuclear plant that the European Union and the United States have pushed so much for Armenia to close, to shut down over the course of the past 30 years. The European Union even went as far as offering cash to Armenia in exchange for the closure of the nuclear plant of Metsamor. However, Armenia's stance has always been, nope, sorry, we cannot accept. I can see some guys over there in the distance doing like this to me, like, come here, let's go. Как дела?
Нормально, ты русский, да?
Нет,
Откуда?
Италия.
Италия?
Да,
О, приятно
да.
очень.
Я хотел ядерная электростанция посмотреть, знаете?
А ты можешь там находиться?
Не знаю, вы
Не
знаете.
можешь, не можешь, там ограничения есть.
Ага.
Большое ограничение.
Окей.
Ты не можешь там.
Окей, а я хочу доходить до ограничения.
Ты можешь там
Да,
находиться.
наверное,
Ты можешь. Мы здесь живем.
А, вы живете здесь?
Да, это наш район.
Большинство людей здесь работают там?
Большинство людей здесь работают в электростанции.
Ага.
Этот город построили за электростанции, чтобы там, где там люди работали, и здесь бы и жили.
Что фотографирую вас?
Да, и переслать нам фото.
This place was first populated in the 1970s, and then of course the nuclear plant was shut down and some people left, and then it was reopened and some people came back, but not all of them. And the result is that you've got many buildings which now lay here completely abandoned. So let's explore a bit more and let's become first-hand witnesses of history in the town closest to the most dangerous nuclear power plant in the world. So what happened at this point is that I stumbled onto this semi-abandoned sporting complex on the outskirts of Metsamor, and something really weird happened there. I wasn't gonna show you this because this is not extremely relevant to the topic of today's video, but it's fairly interesting. This is the abandoned sporting complex of the town of Metsamor, again not far from the most dangerous nuclear power plant in the world. This sporting complex was built to be the largest in the region, and it housed as many as 3 swimming pools. And it looked absolutely derelict and abandoned, and it wasn't until later, when I was doing some more research, that I found out that it's actually still in use by kids. Sadly, if I may add. So basically, the weirdest thing ever in the history of weird things happened when I stumbled at some point into the sakhranik, which is the Russian word for security guard, and he was absolutely the sweetest guy ever. He bursted out laughing when I told him that I was from Italy, and he even jokingly asked me if Celentano was still alive. He's like an old Italian rapper that was really popular in the USSR. Да. Не больше не слушаем Celentano, но... Ну да. Celentano? Не знаю. Наверное, жив. Не знаю. So I tell this guy that I would like to take a few pictures of the place, and this guy tells me that he's going to get another guy for me, and I'm like, yeah dude, sure.
Сейчас.
Ага.
Сейчас, иди сюда.
Жду?
Да, иди.
Жду. Хорошо. And then this other guy comes and the tone changed completely.
Барем, что надо тебе?
Я просто погулял и думаю, что можно посмотреть, наверное, внутри. Можно?
А, что это такое?
Фотографировать.
Не надо фотографировать.
So this guy asks me why I want to take pictures, and I'm like, I'm a tourist. This is what tourists do. We take pictures. And he says, no, maybe next time. So at this point, I try to keep as polite as I can, although this guy looks a bit rude. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll just take some pictures from the outside then, if that's fine. And he continues on, no, that's not fine. You need to leave, and you need to leave pretty soon. Run away. And I'm like, And then he continues on, and he says in Russian, Далеко от КГБ, which pretty much means run away, far from the KGB. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? So at that point I left, obviously, right? I think this whole mess was due to the fact that the Metsamor sporting complex is located in the part of town that is closest to the Metsamor nuclear power plant, and the nuclear power plant is a sensitive object at the end of the day, right, for Armenia, just because it's responsible for 40% of the total energetic output of the country, and Azerbaijan even threatened shelling the plant at some point in the past. So it makes sense. The guy probably thought that I was a spy or something. He acted like he'd never seen an Italian speaking Russian before. So at that point I just continued exploring other parts of town, right? Well, here's one of the abandoned buildings of where are we? Metsamor. Let's see if we can go inside and do a bit of urban exploration. Wow, who knows what this building used to be. Housing again, maybe the workers, some of the families whose father was working at the nuclear power plant of Metsamor. It says here, Vehad, exit. This used to be the exit. And surely this was no apartment complex. Who's got exit written somewhere in their apartment? Oh yeah, there you go. This used to be some sort of medical facility here in the center of Metsamor, and it makes just total sense to have infrastructure like this in a town so close to nuclear reactors with no containing facilities, as we just said, in case of disaster and nuclear leak. Most of the stuff was taken away. It says this was number 2. And maybe this building was damaged already by the earthquake of 1988, which forced the first closure of the nuclear plant of Metsamor. This is where the Soviet Akhranik used to be, checking the propusk, checking the pass of every single worker of this medical facility. Reanimazione отделение. Reanimation department, or resuscitation, whatever you want to call it. I have no idea. There you go. Wow. It says here, or rather it used to say, Vchod запрещен, entry forbidden, but we don't really care now because it's time to go and visit the nuclear plant of Metsamor. Now, you remember some of the guys that I met previously? Well, one of those guys hooked me up with somebody that could drive me all the way to the nuclear plant of Metsamor, so I called this number up, and that's when I heard of the bad news. Ну, я приехал специально для электростанции, тогда... Так что... Я никогда не видел ядерной электростанции. У нас в Италии нету, демонтировали
Ты
все.
станция хочешь? Близко, даже когда фотку делаешь, не пускают.
А, хорошо.
Я сейчас тебе один место отвезу туда, оттуда можешь фотку сделать.
Хорошо, понимаю. Я знаю, что это как сенситивный объект. Да, я даже считал, что азербайджанцы хотели что-то, да, ракеты. Right, so now we're trying to pay a visit to the nuclear power plant of Metsamor. Of course, I was just told that there's actually no way that we can get as close as I was hoping for. And even if we can, there's no way that they would let me take pictures of it, just because it's a sensitive object at the end of the day. I mean, the plant by itself is supplying 40% of the entire needs for energy of Armenia, so it makes sense. But anyway, we'll just try to get as close as we can. I'll just snap a few pictures and I guess I'll wrap up this video then.
А армянки тебе понравились?
Армянки что, девушки?
Да.
Я пансексуальный. Я люблю панкейкс.
Вот, видишь, какая красивая.
Да. Так, перейду дорогу и смотрю.
Давай.
Хорошо. Unfortunately, this looks like this will be as close as we will be able to get to the nuclear power plant of, where are we? Metsamor. Look at that! The nuclear reactors just close to one of the highest peaks of Armenia, of the Caucasus, and you see the plant over there, covering 40% of the entire energetical requirement of the country. The only nuclear power plant that is still standing today in the entire Trans-Caucasian region. So at this point I picked the phone up and it was my driver telling me to get the hell back because I was taking too long, and what I was doing was highly illegal, apparently, even though I was still miles away from the plant. I need to get back. I might be on a list somewhere. Anyone knows what's the Armenian equivalent to the KGB? But anyway, it was a really cool trip, one of the most memorable that I've ever taken with a camera, second probably only to the one that I took to Magadan, which I still haven't posted, but I probably will at some point, so stay tuned and I'll see you next time. Cheers, thank you, bye.